Alright, so I'm going to go over this review in preparation for your third quiz of the quarter. Alright, so let's start with number 1. Alright, so I have 14 z to the 5th over 35 z to the 2nd. Right, so these are pretty simple. They're just a monomial over a monomial. Right, so we can simplify the coefficients. Right, 14 and 35 are our coefficients, so we cancel out a common factor. Right, 14 and 35 share a factor of 7, so we can divide them both by 7. Right, so 14 becomes a 2, 35 becomes a 5. Right, so that's what we have so far. And now with the z's, z to the 5th divided by z to the 2nd. Right, this is the same as z to the 3rd. Right, I have 5 z's on top, 2 on the bottom. Right, so the most amount that they share is 2, right? So cancel out 2 z's on both sides, and you're just left with 3 on the top. Right, another way that you could do it is subtract the exponents, right? We had a whole section on exponential expressions, right? So we get z to the 5 minus 2, right, which is z to the 3rd, right, which is the same as we got here. All right, second one is a similar problem. Right, 25x to the 6 over 10x to the 8th. Right, 25 and 10 share a factor of 5, so we're going to divide them both by 5. So we get 5 over 2 so far, and then x to the 6 over x to the 8th. Right, the most amount of x's that they share are 6. Right, so taking out 6 from the top is nothing, and then taking out 6 from the bottom becomes 2 x's. Right, so we get 2x squared on the bottom. And then again, you could have also done x to the 6 minus 8 and have done x to the negative 2 and then just move it to the bottom, right, if you're comfortable doing it that way. Right, either way is correct. All right, number 3, exact same thing. Right, so we have coefficients of 108 and 99, so you're finding a greatest common factor between these two. Right, so cancel out a 9. Right, 9 is a factor of both 108 and 99. Right, so dividing both of these by 9, we get 12 on the top and 11 on the bottom. All right, and then I have an x and an x on the top and the bottom that cancel. All right, so x's completely cancel out. I have the exact same factor on the top and the bottom. It goes away completely. All right, and then I have 3 y's on top, 1 y on the bottom. Right, so we can cancel out 1 y from each of them, and we're just left with 2 y's. So y squared on top. All right, again, if you wanted to do it the exponent way, right, simplifying exponential expressions, this y on the bottom is a y to the 1st. And then we do 3 minus 1, which is 2, as our exponent. All right, now with multiplying expressions, right, so you can simplify fully or you can cross cancel. All right, so I'm going to go the route of cross canceling. So I'll go ahead and cancel 14 and 21. Right, let's cross cancel here, right, and we'll find a common factor between these two. Right, so these share a common factor of 7. So this 14 becomes a 2, this 21 becomes a 3. All right, and then this 15 and this 20 we can cross cancel as well, divide them both by 5. Right, so then we get 3 replacing the 15 and a 4 replacing the 20. All right, and then still looking at our coefficients, we still have things that simplify. The 3 and the 3 go away. 2 and the 4 become 1/2. All right, and then let's see what else cancels. Right, so we have a y and a y on the top and the bottom. We can cancel those out. And then we have 4 x's on top and 3 on the bottom. Right, cancel out 3 from both sides. We're just left with an x on the top. Right, so your answer is just 1x over 2 or just x over 2. All right, so we're still multiplying. All right, so some of the questions that you might see are going to be factored for you. Right, so these are maybe some of the easier problems that you'll see. Right, if it's fully factored, all you're doing is you're looking at the factors on the top and the factors on the bottom, cancel out anything that's the same. So in this example, 5x minus 6 is the same on the top and the bottom, and so is this x plus 12. Right, so our answer is just 3x plus 4 over x minus 12. Right, so if it's factored for you, don't make it any more complicated than it needs to be. Right, so You maybe try to FOIL, right? I've seen all sorts of things today, right? But you don't need to do anything other than cancel out common factors. All right, same thing with this one right here. Right, so let's look at what's the same on the top and the bottom. Right, and it looks like most things are the same, right? So 8x minus 13, 16x minus 15. And then let's look at our coefficients. Right, 4 and 12 you can cancel out to be 1 over 3. Right, and then 3 and 3 can cancel out as well. And then we're just left with 1 over 5. Right, you could also just go straight across. Once you cancel out your factors, you can just do 4 times 3 on the top, 12 times 5 on the bottom, and then get 12 over 60, which is also 1/5. Right, no matter how you do it, you should get the same answer. All right, and this next problem, the same thing, right? You're just looking at everything that's the same on the top and the bottom. Right, so it looks like there's a 3x minus 19 and an x minus 1. Right, so now we have multiple factors on the top. Right, so we have an x minus 12 and an x plus 1. And on the bottom, we have an x plus 6. Right, and you can leave your answer like this. Don't FOIL anything, just leave it alone. Right, this is perfectly acceptable. All right, let's keep going. So not all of them they're going to be fully factored for you, right? Some of them you will have to factor. So again, like I keep mentioning to you guys, you need to know how to factor, right? A lot of the skills in Algebra 2 are revolved around factoring, right? So please, if you're not comfortable with factoring, please keep reviewing your test, the old notes, all right? Review factoring, get good at it, all right? And okay, so this is a simplifying one, right? So all you have to do for this one, factors of 60 that add to negative 16 is going to be negative 10 and negative 6. So we get m minus 10, m minus 6 over m minus 10, right? And now your m minus 10's canceled. So you're just left with an m minus 6. All right. And then for number 9, again, take out a common factor, right? This isn't going to be factored for you. You have to know how to factor it, right? So you take out a greatest common factor of 3x squared, right? And then what's left over on the inside, you get an x minus 7. And then the x minus 7 on the bottom stays. So you can cancel out your x minus 7s and you're left with 3x squared. All right, same thing here, right? Factor everything. D squared minus 20d plus 96, right? 96, factors of 96 that add to negative 20. It's going to be d minus 8, d minus 12. All right, same thing on the bottom here. D squared minus 23d plus 132. Factors of 132 that add to negative 23 are going to be d minus 11 and d minus 12. So now let's look at what's the same on the top and the bottom. This d minus 12 and this d minus 12 can cancel out. All right, and it looks like nothing else can cancel. So on the top, we're left with a 7 and a d minus 8. And on the bottom, we're just left with d minus 11 and d minus 12. All right, so there's your final answer. All right, and now let's do some division ones. With division, it's going to work the same. We're going to keep the first fraction, change the division to multiplication, and we're going to flip the last fraction. All right, so not even doing anything extra, I'm just going to write this in that form, right? Keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep r squared minus 10r plus 16 over 5r, change division to multiplication, and then flip r over r minus 8. And then you want to factor r squared minus 10r plus 16. We get r minus 8 and r minus 2. And then we can cancel out the r minus 8. We can also cancel out an r, right? R and r cancel. So on the top we have r minus 2, on the bottom we have a 5. Alright, so looking at the next one. Alright, so make sure everything's fully factored. Now, looking at it right now, you can even cancel out the 5g minus 5 right away. It's the same on the top and the bottom. Alright, and then on the bottom, you want to factor out the g squared plus 14g plus 48. Alright, it becomes g plus 6, g plus 8. And then we have a g plus 8 cancel on top and the bottom. And then we're left with a g plus 6 on the bottom. Alright, so don't forget to write it in the bottom. Right, we canceled out everything on the top, so we need to write a 1. And then leave the g minus 6 on the bottom. Alright, that was a common mistake I saw today. Alright, so it's 1 over g plus 6. Alright, and we have another division problem. As always, we keep change flip. N squared plus 6n plus 8 over n squared plus 14n plus 24. Alright, change division to multiplication, and then flip n plus 12 over 1. Alright, and now we want to factor everything. Alright, so n squared plus 6n plus 8 becomes n plus 4, n plus 2. N squared plus 14n plus 24 becomes n plus 12, n plus 2. Now that everything's factored, cancel everything that matches on the top and the bottom. So we're just left with n plus 4 over 1, which is the same as n plus 4. Alright, so if it's over 1, you don't have to write the 1. Right, this is not the same as this example, right, where we had the 1 on top, right? If the 1's on top, you have to leave it there. Alright, but if the 1's on the bottom, you don't have to write it. Alright. And then now number 14, right? This one we just have monomials, right? Single terms on the top and the bottom, right? So we're dividing, so I'm going to keep change flip, keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, and flip the last fraction, 4 over 8c. Alright, and now we can simplify. Alright, so 4 and 8 become 1/2. 10 and 12 become 5 over 6, right? Divide them both by 2. And then we could take out a c on the bottom and the c on the top. So we're just left with 5c over 6 times 2, which is 5c over 12. Alright, and then the last one, h squared plus 10h plus 21 over h plus 3, we keep that, right? This is a division problem. Change the division to multiplication, and we flip the last fraction. Right, so h squared plus 10h plus 21 over h plus 3. Change division to multiplication, and flip the last fraction. Alright, and then we want to factor, right? H squared plus 10h plus 21. This becomes h plus 7, h plus 3. And then now let's cancel everything that cancels. We just cancel out an h plus 3. Right, so you cannot cancel these h plus 7s. Right, that was another common mistake that I saw. Right, so h plus 7 and h plus 7 are both on the top, right? You can only cancel if one's on the top and one's on the bottom. So we can write h plus 7 twice, right? Don't cancel it out, over 4, right? And then this would be a good answer. Another acceptable answer is h plus 7 squared over 4, right? These mean the same thing. All right, good. And there's your review.